Hello and welcome to Journal. I'm Steve Kendall. If you're looking for something to do, perhaps Bowling Green, Ohio is the place to go. Visit BG Ohio wants you to think about BG Ohio. Joining us to talk about everything that Bowling Green has to offer, from food to events to places to go to great architecture, is Kat Patterson from Visit BG Ohio. So Kat, thank you for being here today.
You're welcome. It's great to be here, Steve.
Yeah, now Visit BG Ohio, fairly recent organization, about a year old roughly.
Correct.
Talk about what its goals are and what the idea behind it is and how it came about.
Right. So it's the former Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Okay.
We came under the Chamber of Commerce back in 2021. And I've been there since late August, early September last year.
Okay. So about a year.
So about a year. Yes.
Okay.
So and the main goal is just to allow people to know everything that BG has to offer. So a lot of what you already said, but we really believe that BG has what everyone is looking for. They just have to be able to find it and discover it and then become a part of it. So.
Yeah, and I know that a lot of your approach, as I was looking at some of your internet, your digital material, and it really is, when you look at that, you are kind of surprised by how much is here.
Correct.
And for those of us who live around here, we sort of tend to take it for granted, but for someone who sees that, you know, they have to be impressed by the array of things that are available, places to eat, places to go, all of that.
Yes, yes. So we want not just the travelers to discover Bowling Green, but yes, the residents too, because sometimes you just need to be able to visit your neighborhood.
Yeah, and we tend to get in kind of a rut where we go to the same places over and over or whatever, and maybe don't go down, you know, a certain street or a part of downtown because we go to one place.
Right.
So it's good to see that, and it is pretty impressive. And plus, when you look at the downtown, and we've got some images behind us here that people can see, the downtown is really vibrant, and so is all of the neighborhoods around it. But downtown especially, because in a lot of cities, downtowns, you know, struggle to be successful and be attractive and draw crowds. But that's not the case here.
Correct. Our downtown is definitely thriving. We have lots of restaurants, we have lots of shopping and businesses. We have places for people to rent. We have places people can have different activities. The green space is really great too. And then one of my favorite things about our downtown is that we all work together so well to make really great festivals come into downtown as well.
And you can see when you see those events take place, and we're going to talk a little bit about Firefly Nights, which were really huge, and then of course the pandemic kind of slowed those down, like it did a lot of events like that. But that's just one of the examples. But there seems like, you know, there's the farmers market, there's all sorts of things going on. And just when you walk through the downtown, you can see how much activity there is.
Right.
There's a real good mixture of places to go, as you said, restaurants, shopping, and kind of unique things too. And one of the things I think that people overlook, and you mentioned here too, is there's a lot of great architecture in the town. You just again, you have to know where to look for it, because you know, especially when you're driving, you tend to, you know, you should be watching the road, obviously. But if you happen to glance and see a lot of the houses, especially along Worcester and South Main and things like that, there are some very nice houses, and people can take advantage of that as well.
Correct. Yes, I think our architecture, and also we have a lot of public art, which is just really great. Our murals are ever expanding. Every time I think I know how many murals we have, there's a new one pop up, which isn't such a good problem to have too. So
Well, and I think, you know, part of it too, we obviously have not just with the university, obviously with its School of Art, but then we have a lot of artisans in the city and the area, really.
Correct.
So that's a big advantage too. When someone asks you about, you know, why should I come to Bowling Green? What are the first couple of things you tell them? What's the point thing you want them to know?
Yeah, I think there's so many reasons to come to Bowling Green, but I think one thing that makes us unique is Snooks. The car museum. A lot of people forget that that's there, and it's definitely a diamond that we have in Bowling Green that you can't find other places. And then the Wood County Museum, having that right here, and those are both really close.
They're
in
they're
proximity.
sort of on the south and east of town, out near Dunbridge, Napoleon Road, out that way.
So.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because you tend not to think of those. It's like out of sight, out of mind, which is unfortunate, because both of them, and especially the Wood County Museum and Snooks as as well, but Wood County Museum really has doing a lot all the time
Oh,
now.
yes.
You can't turn around and not see if they have some event going on that you know, hey, it'd be good to see. And if you just go out there on a whim, not on a day when they're doing anything out of the ordinary, it's still a pretty incredible place.
Oh yeah, their new display is really great. I don't know if you've been out there to see their new display is just really interesting. I'm a big history buff, so anything like that interests me. But to see they have all these wedding gowns from different centuries, and it's really pretty. Yeah,
and it really is a great storytelling situation there too. And likewise, if you look at Snooks, which is for people who don't know, is sort of like a collectible car, sort of like a vintage gas station look to the outside. And that's available for events and things, or at least it was. I'm not sure if it is now, but at one time you could lease that and have a party out there, things like that. But they are two sort of gems on the outskirts of town as well. And that's the kind of things that people just you just sort of forget about if you're not focused on that. Did you have any when you first started out? Were there any challenges you had to put all of this together? I mean, there had to be a little bit because you were really with all the things that go on, getting everybody involved and keeping them involved can be sometimes a little bit of a trick.
Correct.
Yeah.
I've had a great support system. So we work out at the Four Corners.
Oh, okay.
So I'm under Mary Hinkleman with the Chamber of Commerce, and she has just a ton of experience, which has just been really, really helpful. And then we also work really closely with economic development, and Tony Vetter is out there as well with the Special Improvement District downtown. So that's really great when you have so many people there that can really help and work cohesively.
Yeah, and I think one of the things you touched on a little bit is the fact that, especially in the downtown, the people that own businesses, run businesses, they're a great group too, because they are really together on what they want to do with the downtown, and that helps, because sometimes you don't get that level of agreement on everything. I'm sure there are discussions sometimes that they talk things out, but in the end, they seem to come up with a pretty good package of things for the downtown. When we come back, we can talk a little bit more about some of the specific events you have, because you look at the calendar on your website and your Facebook page, that sort of thing. I mean, it is amazing when you see what's going on in Bowling Green. So back in just a moment with Kat Patterson from Visit BG Ohio here on The Journal. Thank you for staying with us here on The Journal. Our guest is Kat Patterson from Visit BG Ohio. One of the big events that just took place, and we're recording this on a Monday after kind of a holiday weekend, was the fireworks in Bowling Green. It's called Boom, and it really was an explosion of activity and great times for everybody.
Yes, it went so well. So this year we expanded the event. In the past few years, it has just been fireworks. Last year it moved from BGSU to the fairgrounds, and also on the National Tractor Pull Association site. So that allowed the ability to have an expanded event out at the fairgrounds. So again, working with others. So we were working with the Chamber Foundation, we worked with the National Tractor Pull Association, and we worked with the Fairground Board, and we're able to expand the event. And I mean, we had thousands of people come out, and I think a big reason that we were able to really encourage people to come was so much of it was complimentary as well. We had numerous inflatables. We even had a corn maze that was inflatable, and all of our inflatables were complimentary. And then we also had some festival games. And those were again free, and we had prizes donated by the local VFW, and so we were able to do so much of that at no cost to the attendees, and to come into the event itself was also complimentary.
Yeah, and people were looking for, as I said, we're coming out of the pandemic. People want to get out and do things and get back to those kind of events like that, and so to really reward them with an expanded event made it even better, because people are thirsting for things to do and places to go and enjoy being back out together with other people. So that's a big event. With that event, that's a one-time-a-year event. But then one of the things that's come back too is Firefly Nights, and those were extremely popular. Prior to us kind of having to close them down a little bit, but they're back and in full swing.
Yes, so those came back last month in June was our first one, and we're going to be back in July and August as well. And it's been great fun. So I've been actually on the Firefly Nights committee as well. So we've been planning since January, getting everything together, and it's just been it's great to see all of the ideas and come into fruition. We expanded that as well to include Worcester Green, and so that's given us a great space. We've added inflatables on Worcester Green, and this month we're also adding that onto South Main. We're working with a company called Glowvation out of the Toledo area, and they do face painting, and then they're going to do some balloon animals, and they also have some stilt walkers and some LED things. So that's just adds to that whole like atmosphere. So that's really fun. And then we've got our live music. We've moved that off the main street and over into the parking lot by Mackenzie's Flowers.
Right.
And that really added a great atmosphere as well. So then we had the kids were out in the street with the bubbles and the chalk while the parents were listening to the music, which is really great. And we have just really excellent community support. Thayer Family Dealership. And State Bank. There are are presenting sponsors, and then State Bank, and they are also, besides being presenting sponsors, they're also super involved. Thayer does a movie out in the green, and then State Bank comes with their Gives truck. So they really participate as well.
They get involved. They're not just a paper sponsor; they're an involved sponsor.
Which is awesome.
Now when you look at those events, do you have any way of like tracking where people are coming from to attend? Because obviously it's going to attract people outside of just the city and the near area.
Correct. So there's not really a good way yet to track that completely. We can tell if people are staying in the hotels, but we can't necessarily track like at the event per se. We're trying to figure some of those details out, especially, the same thing, we know people came from outside of Bowling Green to like BG Boom, but just tracking that and keeping track of that is not always the easiest, but
and I guess maybe anecdotally depending, they might be wearing a school shirt from somewhere or something that's
or you just happen to have a conversation with someone.
But and as you said, the word is out there, and and obviously you want to bring people from outside the city as well as the people who live here, because it's easy to overlook what's going on or not know that something is going on and this is a great way to find out. With some of the other events, and obviously you mentioned the Wood County Museum, but there are a lot of but things that go on in the city. You mentioned Tractor Pull, which obviously is a huge one, and then the Wood County Fair will kick off in a few more weeks. But Tractor Pull, that's obviously a big draw and a big promotional event. It puts the city on the map in that regard, not just for that event, but while people are here, they see the rest of the town.
Yes, both that and the Black Swamp Arts Festival. Those are probably like our biggest national, international events. So, and for both of those, so Visit BG Ohio also has grant money that we have that we can give to other organizations, and National Tractor Pull Association and Black Swamp Arts Festival have both applied and received grant money to help with shuttles, which helps encourage some of that. So for the National Tractor Pull, we'll have a shuttle that'll run from our hotels to the fairgrounds, but they also will make us stop
just by chance make it pass through downtown.
And that weekend is the biggest weekend in Bowling Green, as many people know. So we will have National Tractor Pull Championship, we will have Move-In Weekend, and we will have Firefly Nights. So it's a big weekend. So it's exciting though, because there's so much activity that goes on, and it gives people something else to do as well. And then for Black Swamp Arts Festival, we also provide a shuttle for people that are staying at the hotels to make it a little bit easier.
Because one of the things with events like that are so successful, sometimes they almost become from a logistical point of view for people too successful. You don't let people go, oh, it's just a big pain to get around, I'm not going to go. now, but if you can solve that for them, which you obviously have, it makes them enjoy it more, because there's nothing worse than going to an event. It's like it's just trouble to get in and out or do whatever. And this way, you've helped manage that a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the nice things. The town can be, like I say, you can bring them through the downtown to get to the fairgrounds.
Right.
You can do this, and they go by the university. They see all the other things that are there.
Yeah.
So it's but that's it. And managing that. And I guess when you look at this, when you have an event like that, staffing-wise, do you have lots of volunteers, or how do you go about managing, or do the other groups take care of that?
So it's multifaceted with that. So with like BG Boom, we had lots of volunteers to run that. We actually, for the shuttles, will hire a company that's
to take care of that.
That's part of the financial end of the grant. So that really, so it's a little bit of both, but yeah, we need volunteers for a lot of those events.
Sure.
Just like, Black Swamp, they live on volunteers, as well as like Firefly Nights.
Yeah,
too.
absolutely,
So,
because there are all those things that people take for granted that have to be done.
Yeah.
Not even in the background, but actually just the people that are at tents and helping people with information and helping get them from one place to another, directing them, that kind of answering questions, helping things like that. When we come back, we can talk more about some of the other things that are going on with Visit BG Ohio. Back in just a moment with Kat Patterson here on The Journal. You're with us on The Journal. Our guest is Kat Patterson from Visit BG Ohio. And one of the things, I happened to look at your online presence, and of course all the digital presence, that's obviously very important, but I thought it was interesting because one of the first things you see is a graphic and some nice imagery, and it says, oh, that Bowling Green. Yeah, that's us, the BG in the great state of Ohio, the funky little college town up north, the small city with great big ideas, and we're ready to share everything we have to offer with the rest of the world. And it's a great line, because you look at that and go, oh yeah, Bowling Green. Because a lot of people know the name, they know where it is, it's along I-75, but this draws them into, there's more than just as you drive by I-75, or if you get off to do whatever, to get gasoline or eat or whatever, that there's a lot more here. And your website really goes into some really great presentations of events and food and activities and all those things you can do, trails, that kind of thing. So the online presence obviously is really successful and really a big part of marketing.
Yes, it is. It is. And so a lot of that comes, but fortunately for me, because I came in, the Bowling Green magazine was actually done before I came, and I have actually utilized a lot of the verbiage from that to also put into our online presence, so that it matches, so that when people see it, they're like, oh yeah, I've read that before, I've seen that before. So you kind of want it coordinated, and then we have two prep pieces. We have our magazine, and then we also have our visitor's guide. And the visitor's guide is just really simple, list all of our restaurants and all of our shopping, and then has a great map inside of it.
It has a map and a key, and you can see the numbers and say, oh, okay, that's where you can eat, that's where you can go for this. Yeah, and I thought it was, like I say, when I looked online, and obviously with the website, you can click on the events thing and get an idea of all the events. You can click on the food link, get all the food locations, other things, shopping, because I know, in the downtown, there's some things that very few towns have a record store anymore.
That's
and
true.
the one we have here, and
I'm
I'm a good friend, transparency of the guy that runs it, but you just don't see those kind of opportunities almost anywhere anymore.
Correct.
And especially in a downtown, in a city, they're usually in like a strip mall someplace, and not really someplace that you walk by and go, I'll just stop in. You go there for a destination. Whereas this, like a lot of the things in downtown, you're walking by, go, oh, what's this? And you stick your head inside and go, oh, okay, this is kind of cool, and all the other things we want. So that's an advantage too. But I think, and as you said, most of your marketing, or a lot of your marketing, is online. But then the print pieces are important too, and especially the BG guide, because that does give you a sense of where everything is.
Correct.
And the nice thing too, if you look at it, the downtown has become, with parking, always a question, but the parking now is for the most part free in general locations. And now you can dine, the restaurants have the parklets. So there's a lot of things that make the downtown more walkable, more more pedestrian friendly, I guess.
agree.
Yeah.
It definitely makes it that way.
And that's probably something too, when people see that, it's like, oh, you don't have to pull in, park your car, go in, run back out to your car.
Right.
You can walk through the downtown, you can sit and eat, you can do those sort of things. So that's got to be a helpful thing for you as well.
I agree. It makes it really accommodating and welcoming.
Yes.
It feels warm.
Right.
Instead of cold and just come for this and leave.
Yeah, and it's and especially with a downtown that has, it's always difficult because downtowns tend to be a main street of the town, so obviously there's traffic, but this kind of makes that a little less, as you said, a little less feeling like, oh, I'm on a street. You're more in a kind of a downtown versus, oh, I'm just on a street with buildings kind of a thing, and I think that's really important. And you touched on this too, that you started planning things out back in January for Firefly Nights. Sometimes people don't understand how much effort goes into getting that. It's a one-day thing for them, or a 5 or 6 hour thing. You guys put in a ton of time to get that 4 or 5 hours to work the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, it does. It takes a lot of details, and again, it takes so much work from not just the committee. It takes a lot of work and agreements with like the city. We're so fortunate because the city wants to see these things succeed as well. It takes partnerships with places like Thayer and the State Bank, and so that we can see it succeed. And we've just been so welcomed by the community to see that happen. And I mean, it takes so many volunteers to be able to see each of those happen. The goal is to have Main Street back open by 11 p.m.
Right. Okay.
And I mean, that takes real coordination.
Sure.
And so
because these are two, basically two state highways.
Yes.
But you don't get, when the events are going on, you don't have that feel that, oh, I'm on a highway.
Correct.
You're in a downtown. It's like a street neighborhood, and it's almost like a pedestrian area that is good. Now, one of the things you touched on this just now, the fact that there's a lot of coordination with the city, with law enforcement, with the fire department, with the city, even the guys that go around, the men and women that go around and clean up and do other things, all of that, and they have to be on board with this too. The people that do that. So it is a pretty major undertaking to get those things done.
It is, yeah.
When you look at things that you're doing now, are there any things in the future that obviously you're probably watching, seeing what other places do, because there's nothing wrong with stealing a good idea. You don't want to steal a bad idea necessarily. But are there other things that you look at where there's other opportunity that you're always looking for to say, oh, maybe this would be a good event for this time of year? Because I know during the winter there's the Winter Fest event or that sort of thing. So you have to almost develop a year-round group of events. Right,
and that's just what we're trying to figure out, is what the great rhythm is, because we want it to be a really good rhythm for everyone, for the whole community. We don't want to wear a population out either. That was what was great about like the BG Boom, because it is in a different location. So it's giving other people opportunities. It's walking distance for another group of people. It's in a different location. So it's adapting that. And so I think right now our main focus is for BG Boom next year is like, how can we take the current events and expand upon them and make them even better? So and you mentioned a good point with the fireworks, with Boom, because you can walk to the university. That was a good site, all of that, lots of space, all of that. But having it at the fairgrounds, there are lots of neighborhoods where you're within walking distance of that in an easier fashion than possibly. So you have to look for opportunities like that to say, how can we make this better? Well, if we move it over here, it's easier for people to get to. It makes it more convenient. It's different. It's a new experience for them, that kind of thing. And I think the other thing, when I was looking through all those lists, of course, there's bike trails, there's walking trails, all those things you can do that are just, walk out and enjoy nature. And the city 100%. Has an incredible park system as well. Oh my goodness, we do. We are so lucky with our parks. I think. So I actually don't live in the city. I live in Van Buren, which is 20 minutes away. So, and right off the highway too. So it's easy. And my kids, we've come up to like Simpson Garden Park. Oh my gosh, it's gorgeous.
Beautiful.
It's beautiful. And then to have a water park in your city. I don't think we understand how great our city pool is as well. So that's really great just to have those opportunities. So,
well, and that's true, because there's things, we were talking about a lot of these events. and some of them are focused more on adult, but the thing is, it looks like what you've been able to do is provide that experience for whether you're 6 months old or whatever. There's something there for you to do at a family event, that kind of thing. It isn't just, adults show up for this, or it's a kids event. There's
it's very intergenerational.
Yeah,
yes,
very good.
That's really what we're trying to make. And I think a lot of times the demographic that feels a lot left out is at like middle school age. And I will tell you, at Firefly Nights, those middle schoolers were out. They were everywhere. And I love middle schoolers. So it was so fun to see them and just having fun and in a great environment. Their parents know they're safe. They're making good choices. They're still able to be middle schoolers. And that's really fun to see, because so often I feel like that demographic gets like pushed to the side.
Well, and they're kind of between little kids and big kids. They're sort of, they think of themselves as both. They sometimes act like little kids, but they're really getting close to being bigger kids. So and you're right. We even with our educational programming have to figure out how do we reach them the best way, because they're in a different slot, but you don't want to overlook them as well. Now, if somebody wants to get more involved with Visit BG Ohio, what's the easiest way to do that?
So the easiest way would be to email me. My email is marketing@visitbgohio.org. Or you can find us on our social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on Twitter. And then our webpage is visitbgohio.org.
Great. Well, Kat Patterson, thanks so much for coming on. It was a great talk. And it seems like everything is going really well, and the future looks bright. So that's good. So thank you so much. You can check us out at WBGU.org, and of course you can watch us every Thursday night at 8 p.m. here on WBGU PBS. We'll see you again next time. Good night and good luck.